Well, thank you so much for joining us today for another episode of A Soul's Quest. Today we have a special episode for you. Yes?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Hi, everybody.
I'm Jessie. I'm your host. This is my co-host, Omar, my husband, my content you already know this guy.
The other guy.
And this is our very special guest. And by the way, our first female guest, Teresita.
Yay!
Welcome. Thank you. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
How does it feel? It's kind of,
it's a little nerve-wracking.
Right?
But I'm ready for it. So
yeah. I mean, this is a great opportunity to get to know you.
Yes. For me, especially.
Yeah.
Yes. Omar already knows you he knows you better than I do. So this is exciting for me. So nice. So are we getting started?
We're gonna get
started.
Right into it.
Oh, okay.
We're just gonna get right into the point. Yeah, we're just dive in. I mean, it's getting it's typically I should probably do a little cutout of some like music that or like a diver diving in the splash. That's great.
And then we get started.
And then we get started. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're still pretty new at this, so we're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we're definitely new. This is a new thing for us. We're just having fun with it, though.
Yeah.
So we're rolling with this.
Yeah.
So we've been making mistakes. We've been doing all kinds of stuff, and those that love us are with us still, and hopefully we'll get more people.
I mean, I wouldn't notice. I'm definitely new, so.
Yeah. You learn as you go. It's you learn as you go, and things are getting a little bit better.
There you go.
That's the constant evolution.
That's right. Quest. Oh, yeah, evolution. We're definitely evolving. Yes.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, let's get down to business then.
Okay.
All right. So I don't know anything about you, which is awesome. So I love to meet people and hear their stories. So let's just start from the beginning. Where were you born? Tell us.
Can I say, where did the universe pitch you in?
There you go. Where did you get dropped off at?
Well, I was born in California.
Oh.
So my parents actually met there. They're both from Mexico. They're like 20 minutes away from each other. So it's ironic how they both left and met in a whole different state here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I was born there. I was there for 2 years of my life until my parents decided to pick up and go to Mexico. Oh. So I was there in Mexico. It was probably like 6 months that I was there. And my uncles from my dad's side moved to Florida. So they called my dad and they were like, there's a job here. Come see us. Come, we'll find something for you. My mom was very hesitant, but because all of her family was still in California.
No.
So,
right.
they just picked up and went, and I haven't moved anywhere else since.
So what part of Florida, like South Florida?
Stuart.
Oh, okay. All
Yes.
right. Okay.
Yes.
So the Treasure Coast.
Yes.
Nice. And this is where you've been since how old were you?
I 2.5, 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is your whole life. You're a Floridian.
Yes.
Wow. I say I'm a Floridian too. So I've been here since I was like 14. Don't want to, I think I already put my age out there, but anyway. So what part of California? Just curious.
Orange County, Santana. It's like a few hours away from LA.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Wow. I love California.
Oh, I've gone back a few times, not enough to actually remember, but just the little bits that I do, I just wish we wouldn't have left.
Aw, yeah. But do you love Florida?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Anytime I do think about leaving or, just picking up and going somewhere else, I'm just like, well, I like Florida. I think I'd miss it if I left. So
Yeah. So then you moved to Stuart, and then what? So your dad gets this job that your uncle's okay.
Yeah. So my dad starts working, and we're living in this very small trailer with my uncle, so my dad's brother. So it's 2 families there, and we're in the same trailer. So I mean, my dad's working and just doing what he has to do. My mom is trying to cook, clean, just traditional household wife duties. She ends up getting a job. I have to go get babysat or in school, daycare. I actually just not even daycare. It was more babysitting.
Right.
So she would drop me off either at an aunt's or family members or someone around the area because everyone at that time babysat if they didn't work.
Of course.
So I was there, and slowly, I think my mom is more of the keeping keeping my dad on track and keeping everyone on track. So
yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. So we kind of slowly moved out and got our own place. And my dad had a lot of fun times when he was, when he was out there. He would go out drinking, especially with my uncles and stuff. All the weekends was just drinking.
Yeah.
That was his escape from whatever it was, but it was his escape. My mom kind of sheltered us, and it's me and my brother. So I have a sibling. He's 4.5 years younger.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And
so he was born here then.
Yes, he was born here.
Okay.
Yeah, she sheltered us. She kind of kept us away from everything so we wouldn't know or kind of are aware of what bad influence or bad habits my dad would kind of bring home or be around. I don't think it worked very well. As kids, they are, we're very aware and curious to, what our parents are doing and everything. So I remember seeing a lot of things. After moving out, I know I think I was like around 8 or 10 years old, around that age range. My dad called me and I actually went to go pick him up. So I drove to him to go pick him up because he was too drunk.
Oh, wow.
So I got on the road at that age and I was driving, and I was like, oh, well, I mean, I've been curious and, trying to drive and stuff before, but that was the first time. And it was I remember being so nervous. I was like, if we get pulled over, this is it. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't know. Like, my dad's definitely not coming back, but it was very nerve wracking. And then I'm like, what is my mom going to do? What is she going to say? And they came here and they weren't legal.
Okay.
So, it's just a lot of like, we can't do this. I remember just growing up, like, don't do anything that even seems bad.
Right.
Like, no matter what your intention is, like, the perception is what actually matters.
Yeah.
So I grew up just, kind of everything that my mom would tell us, that's kind of what I geared towards. And even when I was at babysitters or something, my mom's like, you sit there, you don't move, you're quiet, just don't say anything. And she would have our, conversations with us, like, oh, how was it? Did you eat? What did you guys do? Like, just to make sure we were okay.
Yeah. So do you think, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but do you think that so your mom sheltered you and protected you? I would say protected because I think that was her mind frame. Do you think she was doing that because of their situation?
Yes.
And just don't want to be in the spotlight, just stay
under the radar.
Under the radar.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So as a child, and that obviously you go into like elementary school, knowing I understand this about my family, but you see the other behavior of kids. How did that feel as a young person, knowing these two worlds and having to walk such a thin line?
Yeah.
I don't think it really clicked for me until middle school. Because all of elementary, I was around people just like me or people in similar household styles. And like, it was all Hispanic children where when we moved, it was a Hispanic household, a neighborhood, and the school was the majority of us were Hispanic. So, everyone grew up with the same problems, with the same it was normal.
Okay.
So I didn't really notice it too much. I did start noticing when award ceremonies or stuff that I would get recognized for, my mom would be the only one to show up.
Okay.
So then I would notice, other kids, and it would be me and the white kids mostly.
Right.
They get the awards or get recognized, and I'm like, well, why are none of my cousins or friends or here with me? I know they're smart, like we have conversations, and then my mom would call out of work, come in uniform or whatever it was, however she went to work, and come see and recognize and take pictures and all of that. But my dad was working. That was always his thing, working.
Right.
Yes. Okay. So I didn't really notice much of a.
How was your relationship, your one-on-one relationship with your dad during this time? I mean, was it tumultuous, or was it something that you took care of? I mean, it sounds like it. A young person getting in the car, taking that risk.
Yeah. Yes.
To pick up their dad is a big responsibility. Number one.
Yes.
but it also denotes the kind of relationship and how you feel towards him. So can you explain that or expand on that?
I feel like I was a daddy's girl.
Okay.
Anything my dad would do, I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever. Because I was brought up, whatever he says is that we're doing. My mom would kind of change his mind, which I didn't realize till afterwards. But yeah, whatever he says goes. He was kind of the one that had the say in the house. If me and my brother were running around, he would just do like, calm down. And we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to get yelled at or hit or anything like that. My mom would scream at the top of her lungs, and we're like, yeah, it's mom. She's screaming.
That's normal.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
But yeah, I definitely loved my dad, regardless of all the crazy stunts or crazy things that, he did and everything. And I don't think I realized everything, like the damage or the impacts, probably until middle school. Yeah, middle school was like a big.
What at that particular stage? Because now you're going into a brand new environment, different types of people, and then you have also deal with your emotions on how you see your dad. Like how is this hurricane of emotions treating you at this moment?
I mean, I feel like I internalized a lot, especially at a just such a young age, because I was told not to speak, not to share, so I would go in school, I would not say anything. I was, believe it or not, the quiet kid, the one that was shy and wouldn't say anything. You can ask me a question, I'll respond, and that's about it. Now up in when I started working after high school is when I kind of developed a voice and felt like I could actually share and converse and without being kind of looked at or being
being judged or uncomfortable.
Or feeling like saying the wrong thing.
Yes.
Feeling like, because that's probably the main thing.
Yes.
And how did that make you feel? Know that at any moment that could have slipped. I
feel like I still feel like that sometimes.
Really?
Yes. And I feel like a lot of my childhood traumas or everything that I've gone through, I am working through still currently. But I'm acknowledging them like as it's happening, and then I can kind of like reroute what I want to say or what I want to do. Yeah. So it's kind of like a awakening period, but I don't want to say awakening, but it's like a intentional awareness period for me right now.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna get into that more later. I want to come back to that. Yeah.
So yeah, because that's important. So then, just so we can stay on the timeline. So, you moved to Florida. You're sort of protected. You're in this bubble, I guess, if you will. You didn't really realize it, just to bring us up. So when you say traumas and whatnot, what was that traumatic for you? Just that experience, that like having to be responsible for your dad and doing things like this or whatnot? And then because you said then you started to become more aware when you went into like middle school.
Yes.
So bring us there.
So, I've experienced a lot of like emotional neglect, more so from my dad. I didn't receive that acknowledgement, or even from my mom. At one point, I would bring home a good report card or some good grades or an award, and it was like, why didn't you do better? Why aren't you the top of the class? Like, you can do it. And I understood at that point, like, yeah, I could have, but like this is where I got right now, and it's still good. It's still, more than what other people got. Yeah. In middle school, I got a more diverse friend group.
Okay.
So I was comparing like their lifestyles, their home life to my styles, what they were willing and able to do as themselves in middle school, my same age, and what I was not even thinking about doing. They had a voice of what class they wanted to take or which friend group they wanted to do sleepovers, like just basic normal childhood stuff that I was like, oh, I would have never asked my mom to have a sleepover. Yeah. Or, it's like, I'm not allowed to. And I had very strict, even still, I go to my mom's house or my dad, and my dad's like, who called you? Or where are you going? Why are you leaving? And I'm just like, You realize I'm old now.
I'm old.
I'm older.
Now you just made us feel really old. I'm just kidding. Okay, that's interesting. So it was it wasn't necessarily like a sheltered life, so to speak. It's that you weren't even allowed, when you started to become more aware of what other people were doing, you weren't allowed to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And did you know that you weren't allowed to do it just because of your situation, or did you ask and it was like, no?
I think there was times where I did ask, but for the majority, I knew.
Okay.
Just because the way we were brought up, it was something we don't do. And then just the conversations, my mom was really good at being very transparent with us and having conversations like, no, you can't have sleepovers because I don't know who they are. I don't know, their background, what they would do. And she would try to protect us and very understanding. But even, when I'm like, okay, this is their parents, get to know each other, talk and everything. There was a language barrier, but it was still very limited. It wasn't,
So for you at that moment, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I'll expand on it. The reason why you felt that trauma and that pain was because you wanted these things. Mm-hmm. And the reason that you couldn't have it was because of the fear that your parents have about being retaliated against. It's that...
Yes, and then just fear of disapproval from them.
Okay.
I think middle school was when I wanted to try different things, kind of explore, kind of take some kind of responsibility for myself and what I wanted to do. And I wasn't allowed. Yeah. I wasn't given that opportunity, and I internalized it. Even after high school, I've kept things in so long. Yeah. So it was just like, no, if I do this, they're not going to approve, and I'm going to not get, such a warm welcome feeling when I come home, or it's going to create,
So it sounds like to me, like you just sort of avoided even going there because you were like, I just don't even want to deal with that. Let me just, things are okay, but it sounds also like it's been a buildup for you. And even in middle school, having this diversity, with your group of friends and stuff, and seeing these things that you really were like internalizing a lot at a very young age. And that's a lot of pressure for a young, what's middle school, like 12, 13, right? Mm-hmm. That's a lot to take. Yes. So then what was the rest of so you didn't do sleepovers and whatnot, but one thing that you did say this, that you felt like you were daddy's girl, but it sounds like even though you were a daddy's girl, there was a lot in the background going on for you.
Yes.
So was it that you were the daddy's girl because that's what they said, or did you feel that way?
I think I felt just like a big, like I was drawn to my father, like whatever he wanted, like I catered to him. If he wanted to have something to eat, I went to go serve him, kind of like a traditional, traditional Mexican household and Hispanic household. Like, here's your food, Dad. Do you want some water? I'll get the cup. Like, I'll serve it to you and put it right next to your food. Oh, you came home drunk. Let me take off your boots. Like, whatever, like I catered to him. After high school, we kind of hit this is like we weren't getting along. Okay. We kind of minimized conversation. It was like basics, just necessary conversation. And it wasn't like anything necessarily that happened. I think it's just everything that I internalized and that was built up, that I was just like, well, I don't really have much to say. And during that time, I was in their eyes, I was like rebelling. I was trying to, find my own way and do my own things and make my own mistakes so I can figure out where I want to do, what I want to do, where I want to go. And they were like, no, this is not what you're supposed to do. You have a path, go, straight down the path. And I was like trying to figure out life.
Let me ask you this, because this is one of the parts that I really love about what we're trying to accomplish, is that there was a point that you arrived at internally that began to push back at what your parents have done. Although you love your parents and care, and there was a point and there was something inside of you that wanted to go in a different direction. Like, what led up to that? And what, once you began to feel that, what did you start to do? And when did it happen? Did it happen in high school? Did it happen? Like, tell me about that.
It was more in high school. Actually, 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
8th grade, because my cousins, I would get dropped off at my cousin's house, and we would walk to school. I probably skipped the last month of 8th grade.
Wow.
It was fun. We watched TV, and people.
Nothing bad.
We didn't do anything. We just stayed home, watched TV. There was food at my cousin's house. We ate, and then
You just didn't go to school.
We didn't go to school. That's it. And my parents found out, and it was just like this big thing. They're like, okay, well, you're not going to the same high school they're going, because obviously they're bad influence. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's not like they held me back from walking out the door.
Yeah.
I chose to stay, but I went to a whole different high school than them. I mean, I kind of suffered my consequences, which didn't really suffer because I was in an easy English class. So I was like, oh, nice. I aced it all.
Coasting.
And then, yes. And then the next year they're like, okay, now you're in honors. I'm like, wait, I was just in the lowest English class. Can I keep going? Like, I'm getting good grades. I could show my mom a good report card. But in high school is when I realized, I think it was more of the buildup that just, like, I couldn't hold it in anymore. So I kind of coasted through high school without giving them much of any issue. It was when it came to me going to college where I chose to not do certain things that they asked me to do. Like, I was rebelling. And it was just because I didn't have a say. I didn't have an option in my own life. I couldn't do what I actually wanted to do. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do anything. It was just, even with sports, like, I was signed up for soccer for 1 year, and then my dad's like, well, no, let your brother try. So he did it. And then when it came to the second year renewing our membership or whatever, so, he was like, no, let your brother do it. I'm like, he doesn't even want to do it. I'm the one that wants to do it. Why can't I do it?
Okay.
So I was just like, okay, well.
So they really did sort of lead a lot of your decision making, then, is what you're saying.
Yes.
So then when you were in high school, so you're saying when you went into college, it wasn't necessarily high school, but when you went into college, when you started to, like, did you follow the path that they wanted then, or what did you end up doing there?
I did. So after college, or after high school, I got accepted to FAU. And that was a big thing.
Nice. Yeah.
I was like, oh, great. I can go here. And my aunt stayed like 20 minutes away. I was like, I'll just go live with my aunt, so my mom doesn't give me an issue. My dad doesn't think anything.
You have more independence.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's still okay with them because they're family and they're not thinking I'm out there crazy. So that happened. I, showed my mom the acceptance letter, and she was like, well, no. Why do you have to go there? Why can't you go to the local college here? And I was like, I got accepted. Like, this is, like, done. Like, I just got to go now. Like, and I, like, it tore me down. Like, I was like,
yeah.
I think.
Now, she was insistent that you have to go here. Okay.
Yes.
What were your options at that point then?
IRSC, FAU. And then I wanted to go down to Miami University, but I didn't even try because I knew that wasn't an option for me.
And why wouldn't that be an option?
Because my parents wouldn't let me go.
The parents wouldn't let you go.
So I didn't even try.
So are you saying that you did not even go to FAU?
I did not. I enrolled in IRC. I did a year there, and everything that my mom thought or my parents thought that I would do in FAU happened at home. With at IRC. I dropped out a few times. Ironically, it was family members. I was going out. I was having fun, partying, skipping class. At that time, I think I didn't realize it, but I would have, like, anxiety even if I was, like, 5 minutes late to class. I'm like, I'm not going in.
Oh,
I can't go in.
Yeah. No, I get it. Because they're all sitting down, and now you got to walk in late.
Yeah.
No.
So, were you going through this? You had one of your dreams, one of your objectives crushed.
Yes.
Right. internally, how did that make you feel? I know that's like a hard spot to revisit because it's not just a moment. It feels like eternity.
Yes.
And on top of that, how did you feel about to piggyback his question, how did you feel about your parents?
Yeah.
So how did you feel personally, but also towards your parents?
I mean, personally, I feel like I was limited. Mm-hmm. I felt like I could have accomplished more, gotten more done if I was given the chance to actually go to FAU. Maybe I would have had a college experience or college life, but knowing myself, I probably would have just stuck to going my classes and stayed in there because I was the shy kid. I was quiet. Yeah. I just wanted to do what I had to do and get it over with. But being home and having friends or families that I knew and, lived this lifestyle that my parents wouldn't really approve, I was like, well, you know what? I was like, they didn't want me to go there. Mm-hmm. I'm here and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm still going to try to have somewhat of a college experience, but I couldn't really because I was still at home.
Yeah.
But do you think you were doing that? Just curious, were you doing it out of rebellion?
Yes.
Like rebellious?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I can
Spite off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think that, so tell us, I don't want to answer your question. How did you feel about your parents at that time then?
I don't know how there's a word, but I don't know what the word is. I mean, I resented them. And more so my mom because she was more vocal about it than my dad. He just kind of was like, well, that's what she said. And like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was more, I felt more like they didn't believe in me.
Okay.
So I was like, they know what I've done so far, what I'm capable of doing. Why don't they trust me or, have the same confidence in me to go off and actually do, get a college degree?
Yeah.
Because that's all I intended to do.
Away from home.
Away from home.
You had to have independence. Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
So besides your parents and besides yourself, I mean, I know that you were surrounded by a lot of friends and family, mm-hmm. but was there anyone that pushed or that you could rely on to kind of like give you that impulse to keep moving forward in spite of all the obstacles? Do you ever have anyone like that?
I don't really want to say anyone. I kind of observed a lot of people, and I had a drive from like high school that I wanted to move out at a certain age, and I wanted to be independent, and I wanted to not rely on anyone. Mm-hmm. Like I knew it was going to be hard. I knew bills. I knew everything, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, I'm ready for it. I can make it happen. I know I can do this. Yeah. So I was, from a young age, like I wanted to be independent. Mm-hmm. And it was hard just because my mom wanted to keep us very close.
Okay.
And even with my brother, like that created like a big, like it was like separation between us. Like we weren't as close when I moved out. Just because he felt like I left, I abandoned him. And I was like, no, I didn't really abandon you. Yes. I left, and then my parents didn't really like it. So I took some time for them to calm down before I returned.
Yeah. Now you didn't move far away.
I did not.
You were close by.
Yes.
And how did that strain your relationship? Like, so he was resentful towards you for that period of time?
Yes.
How did he demonstrate that?
We just weren't that close. Whenever I would go visit, he just kind of stayed to himself in his room and everything. And it was the way my dad treated him growing up. He kind of relied more on my brother to do more of the heavy lifting and work because we grew up on a farm. So I was there helping. And I mean, besides farm tasks and duties, I would also have to do household duties because that's what I was supposed to do. So I remember, me and my brother would switch. I'm like, I don't want to do the dishes. I don't want to mop. I'm like, I'd rather just go outside and like carry the bag of feed and then, give the animals everything. So we would switch, and my mom would come home and she's like, you didn't clean. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's clean. Can you smell it? Like, you know, everything's done. Doesn't matter who it was, but it was done.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, your brother cleaned because he used more fabuloso than you do.
Oh, God.
I'm like, oh, okay.
And like, that's bad, right?
Right.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So she could tell. But yeah, when I left, my dad definitely leaned on him. And it wasn't, when I say leaned on him, I feel like I'm like covering it up and I'm being nice, because he was very hard on him. It wasn't nice words like, oh, hey, can you come help me? It was like, no, you need to come help me. And anytime something went wrong, it was like, you're getting cussed out. And, you know, it was like just emotionally draining for my brother.
Well, what do you attribute that reaction from your dad towards him? Like, what does that come from?
From his childhood, the way he grew up. I think now recognizing the way I grew up and seeing the way my grandparents or uncles and aunts like just communicate to each other and talk and, you know, just be around each other. That's the way, and that's the only way they know.
Yeah.
So that's the only way he knows. And my mom, I think she was more, I mean, she was brought up in a similar way also. She was actually given away to family members to do household duties because my grandparents couldn't raise 11 kids. So she had to.
So they gave her away.
They gave her away. So she was like
which isn't uncommon, actually.
La sirvienta.
Yes. To one of, you know, to an aunt. And she was treated horrible. She hardly ate. She had to do everything. She took care of my aunt's kids and or her aunt's kids, and she was kind of like pushed behind, like treated less. And they're related, so it was like, so definitely everything how they grew up. Like my mom tried to do better and tried to protect and shelter us a little bit. My dad was just, I mean, I'm pretty sure he wasn't as bad as, you know, the way he grew up. But he definitely held on to certain tendencies and certain habits, just like he did. And ultimately, I feel like now as a parent, I definitely have certain habits and tendencies the way I grew up. Like I'm more strict, and I see why certain things, you know, were said or were done the way they were. But I'm also aware and trying, you know, not to be the same exact way, so I don't cause the same damage or hurt once he's older and he's recognizing it and dealing with it. So
you go ahead. Go ahead. We were so excited about it that we both jumped in like right away. Like, wow, this is a good. Sorry,
well, so okay, so now you just so we can keep going with your story, because we want to hear about everything. So you moved out on your own, and now you finally gained some independence, and you experienced some resentfulness with, you know, from family, your parents and whatnot. So where are you at this point? Like take us through that now.
I was drinking a lot. But I had a job. I was always responsible. I made sure I could pay what I had to pay. But I was trying to have fun.
Right.
Okay.
I was trying to kind of live the life that I like, a college life, and hang out with friends and do everything that I thought, you know, a college experience would have given me, or everything that seemed fine or my parents warned me against, because it looked fun.
You wanted to experience it.
I wanted to experience. I wanted to know what it was all about. So my parents, I actually didn't go visit my parents for 3 months.
Okay.
Just because they were very angry. And it was funny because my dad was always the one that said, if you leave, don't ever come back. Like he would verbally say it.
Yeah.
But when it came to it, it was my mom that said it. So that hurt immensely. I was like, oh no. I was like, what happened? The role switch. I didn't expect it from her.
Yeah.
So that was part of, I think, my brother's resentment also, because I wasn't there. So then when I slowly started going back, I would try to spend the time with my brother. So I would go pick him up. I would go take him to McDonald's. So I'm like, because I drank all my money mostly, but McDonald's was cheap enough for us to go eat. So, and it was, and I was always taught to share, and having an younger brother, I was like, you know, you have to care for him. So I was always brought up to care for other people. So having friends and living the lifestyle I did, I gave them everything.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, till this day, like, I care more about other people, regardless of how much I know them.
Yeah.
More than I do myself. So, it bit me in the butt. And I had to move back home.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
So what were the trials? Like, what started happening in your life? You live in this life of partying and things of that nature, and you get to a point in which you have to move back with your parents, with your tail between your legs. Like, what led
Literally
exactly how it felt. Yes.
it does feel that way.
And it feels like that. What led up to you to make that decision? I can't go on anymore like this. Like, what happened?
At my parents' house, or
No. Like, before you came to your parents' house,
Yes.
you said, you know, you were having this life, and then you came to it and said, "Nah, I can't do this anymore." What happened that led you to make that decision to move with your parents?
I was broke.
Yeah. I was going to say,
I
she
was
just
broke.
said it.
I was broke. I was broke.
But emotionally too. Like, was there a toll that the party life had on you, or not necessarily? It was just primarily financial.
It was primarily financial, and it was like I felt lonely because all of my friends, I mean, I didn't have anything else to give, so all of my friends left.
You're broke. You have
I was
nothing
broke.
left. Yeah.
So I was alone, and I could not pay, you know, the place by myself because I had roommates. So I had to go back home. I was like, I can't find anything. No one's going to lease anything to a 19-year-old girl. Like, you know, and then living the lifestyle I was like, I knew it also wouldn't look good, even though I wasn't doing it at home. I was going out and, you know, so I had to move back home. And then at home, it wasn't like I was used to the lifestyle. I was used to freedom. I was, you know, going out and doing my thing. And then when I went back home, I couldn't do any of that. So I lived home for 2 years. And then I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need some kind of freedom. I need to be able to breathe because I felt like I was suffocated. I couldn't answer my phone. I couldn't go out with friends. At one point I asked to go to the movie theaters.
And how old are you at this time?
Yeah.
21.
21.
And you're asking to go
and
to
I'm
the
asking
theater.
to go to the movie theaters with a friend who was there that slept over at my parents' house. So they knew who she was. And the response was no, it's late. I was like, it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Do you realize I did a lot of things prior to this? Like that I wasn't home before 10.
Yeah.
And my brother was he was starting to live his life and going out with his friends. And I started to notice little things like he had a later curfew. I always had to bring him along to wherever I had to go. When I started dating in high school, I'm like skipping around. I had to prove to my parents that I could date and stay in school.
Yeah.
And it sounds really bad, but I chose someone that would be a good fit in my parents' eyes to take home and say, hey, listen, this is my boyfriend. This is what we're doing. And I remember my dad's response was like, so you're not going to do school anymore?
Oh.
I was like, that's not that. What? I was like, what does that have to do? I'm like, no, I'm just saying he's my boyfriend now, but I'm still going to school. Who said I was dropping out?
So he was thinking that was going to be your man that will take care of you.
I honestly don't. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't think he thought I had any drive or any intentions to keep going.
Oh, okay.
So he was like, okay, so that's it. And I'm like, no, I'm like, I chose someone specifically so you could see he was a good guy and he had all these, moral standards. Like the guy spent more time with my dad and my parents than he did with me.
Yeah.
Like he helped him out on the farm and everything. And I'm like, we were supposed to go to the movies. We were supposed to go out to lunch. And he's like, oh no, we'll go out together. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't say anything at that point, but and then after a while I was like, okay, this isn't working. Like my plan completely backfired.
Yeah.
So you try to conform to what you thought was good for them.
Yes.
and it backfired.
Yes.
It just nice guy.
Yeah.
Your parents liked him.
Yes.
Everything was great on that aspect, but it just wasn't the one for you.
Nope.
So then you moved back home and you stayed at home for about 2 years, and then what happened? Do you get a job and you are able to move out?
I mean,
again?
I was still working. Ever since I was 15, I had a job, and I actually started working with my dad. Mm-hmm. So I did summers there until I could actually get a regular full-time job, and I was doing school at night because even though I dropped out, I would go back in and, because education was a big thing for my parents, for my mom. Mm-hmm. So I would drop out, take my little break, and then go back in. Yeah. I changed my major a few times.
Mm-hmm. I don't think there's
As
anything
we
wrong
all
with
have.
that. Yeah, I think that's totally normal.
So my parents is like, you chose one, you
stick
pick
with
that
it.
because they didn't have that luxury. So
Correct.
they
It's
had
true.
to, just go with whatever the first option was.
I got you.
So, it was, it was just difficult for me to stay there after experiencing and feeling free, not really having someone to say, okay, here, I'm going this, I'm going to take this long. Because if I took longer than I had to at whatever store or whatever, it was like, where are you? Why aren't you home yet? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, can I just try on some clothes?
Yeah.
So it was very difficult. I mean, having a job, I saved up my money. I stayed, I was disciplined with myself.
Right.
And then when I had the chance to move out, I'm like, I'm out.
Right.
I can, talking to my parents about it now, like I can see like it was, oh, she's back. And it's like this big hope and like, this grand like thing. And then she's leaving again. And they're heartbroken. Yeah. And I'm like, it's not my intentions. Like those aren't my intentions. I just want to be independent. I wanted to be free.
Yeah.
And even now, like I like to be alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. So then you got out, you moved it back into your own place. And now where are you with your life? Like, obviously you're an adult at this point. So where are you?
I was still, with roommates.
Okay.
So I was like, that's smart. I'm not going to just put all my money into rent.
Yeah.
So I kind of hopped a little bit around, and I still had a job. I was actually working with the school district. So it was, in my parents' eyes, a good job.
Yeah.
It didn't pay very well, but it was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I still had to, I still had my freedom. I did go out when I wanted to. It wasn't as intense as my first time.
Right.
So I kind of mellowed it down a little bit. But I still had my time, I still did everything. Anytime I would go visit home, it was great. I would go eat. My mom would be like, oh, hey, it was a better relationship. I know there was still, some kind of tension just because I left and everything,
of course.
But it was better. And I actually met my child's father that time around. And when I tried to do the same thing as in, okay, let's go meet my parents kind of thing, it was like, well, he was kind of hesitant.
Yeah.
He wasn't, well-rounded person, just like the first,
Right.
But they also kind of were like, wait, why did you are you sure this is the guy? So they kind of like gave me some pushback. They're like questioning, like they could tell.
Really?
So.
Wow. Yep. Okay. So you said that this was your child's father.
Yes.
So obviously, did you guys like move in together or what?
Eventually.
Like what? Okay.
Yes. We actually moved in with his parents.
Oh, okay.
So,
so you left the roommates and then you moved in with. Okay.
Yes.
So you're taking it
more roommates.
Yeah.
More roommates.
Not the kind of roommates you want, probably, but but probably ideal for the moment, I guess. Is that why you did it?
Yes. Okay. Ideal for the moment.
Now, why'd you do that? Did you move in with him because you were pregnant?
No.
Okay. Okay.
I took my time.
Okay. That's good.
Yes. But still happened. It was, I wanted to, how do I the first thing that comes to mind is like, I wanted to fix him. I wanted to push him. I wanted to motivate him. I wanted to get him on my level so we could be out on our own.
Right.
It didn't happen.
Okay.
So we were there. I mean, we had a lot of ups and downs. It wasn't the healthiest relationship. You know, it was, at first it started very, it was a lot of verbal abuse and everything. And then, there was a point where I just held on to it too much, and I'm like, I can't take this anymore. So I started to speak up. So I was like, listen, if I'm this, you're this. We two can play at that game. I can speak the same language you can. So, I mean, that's what happened. He came up with, it was actually brought up by him. He's like, oh, let's have a baby. So I kind of
as a solution to the relationship.
As a solution. I was like, are you sure? And I kind of like laid it on the table. I was like, listen, this means this and this and this, and we can't do this, and like all of this stuff. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, are you sure? He was like, yeah. And then I was like, okay.
Oh, okay.
Didn't take much convincing, apparently.
Right.
And it happened.
Sorry to interrupt you, but being traditional as your parents are, and having a baby out of wedlock, tell us about that, because that's another layer.
Yes.
When it comes to all that.
My parents were married by court.
Okay.
So at that point they weren't too big on it, and I know my mom their marriage happened like from one day to another kind of thing. Like my dad was like, oh yeah, let's get married. And my mom was like, yeah, like thinking it was a joke.
Yeah.
And then they actually followed through on it. And then even when I was younger, like I didn't have that dream or hope of me getting married.
Really?
Yeah.
And why is that?
That's interesting.
It was just
all girls have that, right?
Yeah. Right.
I
Supposedly. I mean, I'm just saying, not all girls have that. Yeah, but yeah.
I know. I tell people, and they're like, really? No. I think it was just because I observed a lot of couples and a lot of family members that were together, and they didn't really seem like, it wasn't like the movies. It was, you know, it was like, this isn't it. Why would I want to, and then even before, when I'm like, oh yeah, I would never do that. Like I would never put up with that stuff. And, you know, as an adult, like, and going through some of those stuff, I'm like, well, why would I want to do this for life?
Yeah.
You know? So I think it was just from a small age that I realized that it wasn't what it was made out to be, or it wasn't what I thought a marriage was supposed to be like.
Yeah.
I mean, and even now I think I'm like, I don't have to be married to, you know, get everything that I want to out of a partnership or out of someone, you know, that we're living together and, you know, just same goal, same moral, same, you know, everything.
If you're on the same page, that's all that matters. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So
tell us about your son. Tell us about your little creature.
Is that what you have? A boy?
I have a boy.
You have a son. Okay.
Sorry, that's why I was
you weren't supposed to say that. Creature.
I'll try to set it up in the way
offspring.
that your offspring. Yeah.
Your mini you? Maybe? That's a good thing, right?
Cute kid.
Yes. Tell us about him. I don't know who he is.
His name is Julian. He is a dinosaur lover. So
how old is he?
He's 4.
Okay.
He actually got me into dinosaurs, so I have to too.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's cute.
So,
he probably loves that thing.
Yes. My friend was like, "Oh, it's a phase." I'm like, "Well, it better not be, because now it's tattooed on me.
It's done.
It's done.
Official."
I'm like, he got me into it, so now I like dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's neat though.
Yes,
okay.
He is very active, and he has been the reason like I am more intentional and more aware of the way I think I grew up, the way just my surroundings and everything.
Yeah. So may I just ask really quick? You're not with baby daddy anymore.
I am not.
Okay. I say baby daddy because that's all I mean. I don't want to know the name.
This is a
laughs every time
doctor gets to say baby daddy. That's hilarious.
Just because I'm getting a doctorate doesn't mean I'm not a little slightly ghetto.
Oh gosh.
Look,
it's okay.
It's baby daddy. It's what he is.
You can relate to people that way.
Thank you. Just because I'm getting a doctorate doesn't mean I'm any different than anybody else. So you're not together. Okay. No. I just wanted to make sure, clarify. So now back to Julian.
Yes. Very active. keeps me on my toes, very smart. Like sometimes I'm like, oh no, he doesn't know, or he doesn't understand. And then he comes out and it's like, whoa, I'm like, you're ahead of the game.
So you are living on your own with him then?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Just the two of you. That's cute.
Yes.
You know that song, Just the Two of Us. I love that song. Okay. Anyway, that's awesome. Okay.
Yes.
So he keeps you on your toes.
Yes. I've definitely noticed, I don't know if it's something that kind of he picked up off of me, or just like some confidence and motivating, like things that I need to do with him more, just because like he's not as confident, or so I'm like, maybe I'm rubbing off, or maybe he's noticed something that he's like, this is how I need to be.
Can you give me an example of that? Because this is very interesting, because in your mind is almost like you are aware of what happened to you in the past, and you see it happening with him now. Can you give us more specifics on that? That's an interesting point.
So, okay, swimming. I did swimming classes for him, and it was more like the how not to drown swimming. It wasn't necessarily like I'm gonna swim and you know, the casual swimming. And he did not believe in himself. Like it was a struggle. And even like recently we went to a pool and he was like, no, I can't do it. And very scared, very terrified. And me being the mom, I'm like, okay, like it's okay. I wanted to hug and shelter and hold him and everything. And I was like, I have to get him to realize that he can do this. And even though he won't get it on the first try, he can continue to do it. And then I'm not a good swimmer. I don't know how to swim either. So it was very difficult for me to kind of like show off that confidence and give him motivation for him to recognize it and do it.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it just made me think, I'm like, did I do something that maybe he does not, am I not doing something that he's not as confident, or is it something he's picking off from me?
So why would you think that, just to dive deeper into the confidence thing, because I totally get it. Why do you think, and we're probably going to continue this in your part too, because we're going to be coming to an end soon, but why do you think that motivates you when you see that in him? Does it motivate you to make changes with yourself? Yes. So talk to us about that.
I think I'm not as aware until I like see it right in front of me, like with him. Yeah. Cause I can say, I'm not as confident, or I doubt myself, but then when I see it in him, I'm like, okay, now I need to do something that needs to change and fast, because I don't want him to grow up this way. I don't want him to doubt himself. I don't want him to think, oh no, I can't swim just because, he didn't do it on the first time. Yeah. So I definitely try to fix it. And then I try to go back and think, I'm like, is it something I'm not doing? Is it something that I am doing? Or is it something that he's just picking up from me that I need to change myself so he can see that, and it will, it will like reflect and it will change with him.
Right. Yeah. So then how do you mediate that? Because like you see it in him and you're thinking, what do I need to do differently to project this more confidence, or to establish that he can do things? And so where is your motivation coming from? Where do you get your confidence from? Like, cause that's hard. Yes. Cause you're on your own. Yes. He has you, but what do you have? I
mean, I probably have a mental breakdown first, kind of assess everything. Right. And then I do a lot of everything. I mean, I feel like he is my motivation, and being by myself, I am more able to motivate myself, as opposed to like when I was with baby daddy, I didn't get that confidence that I needed. I actually was torn down and brought down. So I was like not feeling at all confident. Yeah. So now that I'm by myself, or with him, with Julian, I can work on myself and kind of pick at things or redirect my mind and my thoughts in my head that I'm like, okay, no, I can't
go down this rabbit hole thing. Yeah.
So, and then I try different things. Like if I'm doing something or if I'm not doing something, try to congratulate him more, try to, make it a bigger deal than it, like, great job. Like, you're swimming like a fish, or like whatever, you know, a shark. You can swim better than me. I can't swim. And, you know, I just try to make it just bigger. So I
celebrate his successes and things like that. Encourage him. Okay. Yes. That's good. And so do you think that when you're doing those types of things, I know with me, it's like I find myself really like looking at other people and thinking about how I affect them and what it is that I can do to contribute to their successes and making them feel better. And it then in turn makes me feel better. So it sounds like that's what is happening for you.
Yes.
So.
It happens at work and it happens at home. So it's, I base a lot of what I do at work and at home. And, you know, it's kind of like an overall picture. Cause I mean, at work, I realized they don't see many Hispanic, women working or having certain positions or having certain, you know, just power within their job and knowledge. So definitely try to do that. And anytime I can help, or, you know, whether it's a family or kids, I'm like there. Whatever I can do, whatever you need, let me know, and I will find out a way to do it. So,
okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us. We're going to end here, but we're going to bring you back for part 2. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure that you catch us for part 2 of Teresita's interview. If you like this interview, please give us a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe and share with your friends and family. See you next time.
Bye, Soul Questers.